The third year of the marriage alliance between the prominent family of Jing. She was so melancholic that she posted on Weibo late into the night. Her husband always liked to call other women wife. What should she do? Netizens suggested she change it. Liu Ruyan looked at the reply and felt even more despondent. She responded, saying she changed it. But what she changed was the password. The entire internet burst into laughter. I was almost jolted awake by my manager's incessant calls. I was startled awake by the frantic ringing. On the other end of the phone, my manager let out a sharp, screeching sound. He Kong, look at the trending topics. Your public image has collapsed into a complete mess. How can you still sleep through this? I was confused, and in a daze, I opened the trending topics. He Kong had changed his password. Liu Ruyan, my husband always likes to call other women wife. He Kang's browsing history. I'm living in He Kang's collection now. At this point, I was frozen in place. It's not that I like to watch women. How did this even get discovered? My marriage alliance with Liu Ruyan started 3 years ago. It all began 3 years ago, during my second year in the entertainment industry. At that time, my career was at its peak. I was on the rise in the industry. Then came the slander from the rival faction. As a result, my reputation took a hit in the industry. My career plummeted. I wasn't invited to any variety shows. Endorsements were cancelled. I couldn't even land a role in a drama. I could only stay at home every day, aimlessly twiddling my thumbs. My mother couldn't stand it any longer. She couldn't bear to watch me in such a hopeless state. So my mother suggested, He Kong, just go ahead and get married. I was stunned when I heard those words. How could this be? Marriage isn't something to be taken so lightly. But my father explained, it's fine. Liu Ruyan's family is wealthy. The richest family in Jinghai. You'll just become a live-in husband. It's like going to work. Every day, just play along with her. Act in front of the cameras. It's a perfect chance to feed your damn acting addiction. I wasn't convinced. I began to feel sorry for myself on the side. But what if she really falls for me? What do I do then? After all, I'm so handsome. My beauty and my talents haven't been fully recognized by the world yet. My father looked at me as if he'd seen a ghost. He quickly shifted in his seat on the sofa. He moved 3 feet away from me. With a look of disdain, he said, I can't take it anymore. If she could fall for you, I'll eat shit. My father and the Liu family were longtime family friends. Through the careful matchmaking of both families, I met Liu Ruyan. The first time I saw Liu Ruyan, one word appeared in my mind, locked. But when I learned that she was 6 years older than me, my opinion shifted to a resounding 0. This woman has taken good care of herself. Sir, do you understand what I mean? Liu Ruyan, sitting across from me, asked. I had a general understanding by then. I looked at the contract she handed me. It was clear, a marriage contract for 3 years. For the next 3 years, I'll play the role of your husband. When the time comes, you'll give me 30 million in acting fees. Liu Ruyan, sitting across from me, paused for a moment. You could put it that way, but I still hope 3 years isn't the final deadline. If it works out, we can make it official. I got up from the soft sofa. I patted Liu Ruyan on the shoulder. I quickly got into character. Well, wife, I'll be going now. Liu Ruyan's body stiffened for a moment. It's okay. New actors don't always have that much insight. It's normal. So Liu Ruyan and I went to register our marriage. Hijia QO. We shared the master bedroom. Liu Ruyan's work kept her very busy. At home, I was often alone. Sometimes, when I got bored, I'd go live and banter with the netizens. This guy is showing off his fashion sense again. Haha, I'm dying of laughter. Bro, what's going on in Syria? Your outfit has quite the vibe, but your mental state seems a bit off. Without He Kong, who else would want to make me laugh? Our fans clarified that he's like this all the time. I said this. I gestured a few times in front of the camera. This is the latest short pink butterfly camisole. The back has a hollowed out design. Only a thin strap holds it up. The skin exposure is quite high. It's very cool and perfect for the season. Haha, are you going swimming? Perfect, you can just jump straight into the pool. 2-in-1 key. Haha. Just jump in. I've been watching this for an hour now. Can someone save me? I crouched on the floor, watching the barrage of comments rolling by. Why are you laughing at me? You guys are so strange. Don't like it? I specifically wore this for you. The next second, the door to the house was opened. Liu Ruyan, seeing me, instantly darkened her face. What are you wearing? She said this while draping her coat over my shoulders. But of course, I wasn't having any of it. I took it off myself. I threw her coat to the side. I clapped my hands, responding to Liu Ruyan's words. Liu Ruyan looked down. She reached out and tugged at the bag hanging on my back. These few shabby bags can't even be called clothes. You're getting old. It's normal not to understand. There's a generation gap. I commented, spend more time online. Surf the web a bit. When Liu Ruyan was home, I usually didn't stream. So I turned and shut down the live stream. Alright. I'm ending the stream for today. Good night, my family. The moment the camera turned off, I heard Liu Ruyan call my name, He Kong. But I was really displeased with her interrupting my stream and questioning my fashion sense. So I decided to take the initiative and said, Liu Ruyan, I think it's necessary for us to have a discussion. I can play the role you want when you need me, but you cannot interfere with my private life. I looked at Liu Ruyan, who had a dark cloud of frustration on her face. I also have other clients I need to serve. Do you understand? For some reason, I saw Liu Ruyan's face darken even more. But Liu Ruyan wasn't the type to overreact. She wouldn't do anything excessive. Just like right now, she simply stormed upstairs and slammed the door shut in frustration. Who would have known that late at night, she would turn to the internet for help? I told her to spend more time online, but that wasn't quite what I meant. I looked at the comments from the netizens. I turned over in bed and pulled the blanket over me. My heart sank to the bottom. Collector of He Kong. I quickly took a screenshot and saved it. When He Kong woke up, he was in a different world. It was rumored that He Kong and Liu Ruyan's marriage was a business alliance between the He and Liu families. A web of interests entangled them. Maybe they divorce in a few years. He Kang's collection was filled with women who had great figures and cheerful, outgoing personalities like goddesses. Someone like Liu Ruyan, who seemed cold and aloof, was clearly not He Kang's type. LOL with money. You can just buy trending topics to stir up hype. He's been crawling through the entertainment industry for so many years. I had long stopped paying attention to those comments. But Liu Ruyan? She, who rarely went online, would definitely see them. I didn't know. Would she care about my past? I thought about it, and before I knew it, my legs had already brought me to her door. I knocked on her door. But the moment I opened the door, I froze. Liu Ruyan was crying. She was holding back tears. In her hand was her phone, and on the screen were screenshots from the comments I'd made under videos of those women in the female superior category. The screenshots were filled with arrogant, boastful remarks, and as she looked at those screenshots, she lifted up her clothes. She glanced down at her bare skin. She must have just taken a shower. Her bathrobe hung loosely around her body. Undried droplets of water slid down her mermaid line, tracing the curves of her dangerously alluring figure. This was nothing short of provocative. This was more explosive than anything I had seen before. I thought to myself, and almost leapt forward to snatch the phone out of her hands. That was all just nonsense, I said. I turned Liu Ruyan's face toward me. I'm telling you, those people online are lying. We were just pretending. But you and I were the real deal. But to my surprise, she looked up at me with eyes full of resentment. Do I really have no attraction to you at all? I spent over an hour explaining to Liu Ruyan what I meant by telling her to go online. I wanted her to learn about internet slang, not to ask questions from netizens. How can you trust those people online? Don't ask them anything. I patted my chest, speaking with righteous indignation. I didn't realize at that moment that I hadn't even noticed the glint of triumph and satisfaction in Liu Ruian's eyes. In those brief moments, I was completely entranced by Liu Ruian, who had just been red-eyed and had looked so aggrieved. Even my mind was consumed by the thought, protect the purest Liu Ruian in the world. The triumphant Liu Ruian turned and asked me, "Really?" Before I could answer, she handed me her phone and pulled me down, causing me to fall back onto the soft bed. Her calm voice came from behind me. Each word seemed to stimulate my eardrums. "And what about those comments saying husband is so hot? What did give it to me early mean?" Liu Ruian, who was always so studious, didn't stop there. She added, "And what about this?" Her hands slid around my waist. They tightened around me. As her hands drew me closer, the space between us began to shrink. We were almost pressed together, forming an intimate, almost embedded embrace. Thought to myself, too close, I can even smell it. The scent of Liu Ruian's body wash. I can hear her heartbeat behind me. Our breaths were so intertwined, almost impossible to separate. The intimacy made my neck flush with warmth. It was the first time I realized Liu Ruian's voice was quite low. Perhaps because of her position of power. Her tone always had an air of unspoken authority, as if she never needed to get angry to command respect. So when those words came out of her mouth, spoken with complete seriousness, there was an odd sense of dissonance, like a narrator in a documentary. A woman reciting internet pickup lines with a straight face, especially when she purposely leaned closer to my ear. Her breath collided with my burning earlobes. Her lips brushed against my ear ever so lightly. It suddenly dawned on me. She wasn't just reading the comments aloud. She was doing it intentionally, just for me. But before I could turn to confront her, I noticed that, at some point, Liu Ruian's phone was already gone from her hand. She was watching me now, and in that near-zero distance between us, our eyes locked. I heard her mutter something behind my back. Then she asked, "Baby, can I be your?" My dog? My brain short-circuited. When I snapped back to reality, Liu Ruian hadn't yet retracted her smile. Little he, what do all these words mean? Fox spirit returning to her room. Lying in bed that night, I cursed under my breath and threw punches into the air. That night, I couldn't sleep. I followed the internet cable and deleted all my bold statements from 800 years ago. Fortunately, the internet has a memory, but the price was too many rumors. I spent the whole night deleting everything. The next day when I woke up, I found I had made it to the trending list again. He Kong feeling guilty. Not sleeping at night. Deleting comments. He Kong blocks the collector. He Kong scandal. I stared at the top for trending topics that dominated the entire internet. My heart sank again. Appearing too frequently on trending topics isn't a good thing for an entertainer like me. When I debuted that year, having just turned 18, my career was on the rise. I starred in a film by a major director, top luxury. I was signing endorsement deals left and right. I should have had a promising future ahead. But just as I joined my next production, a scandal erupted. Private photos of me were leaked online. In an instant, everyone's opinion of me changed. I said, how can they market this so much? It turns out I had been kept. I had just debuted in the religious film, Prayer. Looks like my benefactor was someone mysterious after all. But this photo was clearly taken from a hidden camera angle. Why is everyone blaming Zikyan? Taking hidden photos is illegal. Suggest a thorough investigation. But they only took the photo while He Kong was asleep. That's clearly spying. His younger brother's an adult now. It's normal for him to have feelings. But people need to be clear-eyed. You fans are good at covering up with hidden camera shots. Who in the industry doesn't know that He Kong investigates and loves to steal? The top rising stars in the industry. Who hasn't had their endorsement or role taken by him? Do you really think your brother is impressive? Isn't it true that he sneaks into the benefactor's bed at night? The public opinion online was split in half, but in reality, I've heard more than once from people in the industry Their private discussions about me. They said I was pretentious, said I was disgusting. My work was forcefully halted. The role was given to someone else. All endorsements were cancelled. The issue was resolved 3 days later. It was discovered that my agent had secretly taken the photo while I was asleep. The reason was that he had taken money from a rival company, and that rival company had promised him a job offer after the incident. With a salary 3 times what I was paying him, I thought the matter would end there. But some disgusting public opinion still wouldn't let go of me. That night, my parents came to pick me up and took me home. It felt like a vacation. My dad comforted me and said to my mom, "Sweet cherry, at most, we'll take care of you for the rest of your life. It's fine if you don't want to be an actress anymore." That day, even my sister, who was studying abroad, came back to the country. "What are your plans next?" She sat next to me. We sat side by side on the balcony, feeling the evening breeze. "Do you want to go out and have some fun before I leave, though?" But I just stared at the moon, which was partially obscured by the clouds in the distance. I asked my sister, "Did I do something wrong?" Without hesitation, she answered, "Of course not. If you're upset, then just stop looking at those comments." But why did he hurt me? Compared to the comments online, what makes me even more upset is the agent I've been spending every day with. He was an accomplice in this matter. My sister sat quietly next to me for a while, before calmly speaking up. Kong. Feelings between people at any stage can change in many different ways. When it comes to interests, you can't be eternal allies. Cooperation and feelings are both fragile. If things don't work, just switch people. I don't know how to comfort you, but I'll borrow a line from my friend to tell you. Live for the future. It's just a photo. Your life for the next several decades won't be defined by it. The evening breeze lifted my hair at my temples. It smoothed the frown on my forehead. I thought for a long time, so long that the breeze made me feel a bit cold. Only then did I speak up. "What if I say I don't want to be an actress for now?" "Of course you can." My sister smiled at me. "You can do anything you want. We are family. We will always support you." Later, riding the wave of new media, I became a live streamer. At first, my live stream was indeed chaotic. People were either cursing or fangirling. "Brother, long time no see. LOL. Do male celebrities become male streamers when they can't get any roles? Will you be dancing later? Dancing's normal too. Especially the borderline photos. Wasn't it all over the internet back then? Thanks, I've already reported those to above. Have retired stars still have fans? You celebrities can always find someone to follow you. When stars can't make money, they start live streaming? Maybe they'll even become popular. How ironic! Look at you, now reduced to live streaming for New Year's wishes. We debuted at the same time. Our family already has an Oscar winner. You really can't compare people. I looked at the constantly scrolling comments in the stream. I remained silent for a long time. Then I finally asked, "So what's wrong with being a live streamer? Don't you love making money? Do you not love money? Or do you not love making money? Or is it that you just can't make any money? Among these three, baby, which one are you?" Haha, so this is how Kong is behind the scenes. Isn't it that he doesn't love money, but he just spends fast because he can't earn enough? Haha, brother, you're always my hero. I can't believe I was attacked just for watching a live stream. That's how I completely paved my way as a live streamer. Sometimes, fans even ask me to fight back just to watch me roast them. It's kind of unique, actually, and I was scrolling through the comments under the Kong scandal post. Most of the comments were just pictures of me. Kong's marketing again. Who doesn't know how he stirred up a storm in the city before? Yanmen photo? Clingy to a new golden bracelet? Isn't that enough for him to cling to? The matter was cleared up long ago, okay? If you're unclear, just go look at the statement the police released. What difference does the statement make? The photos were still spread all over the internet. People are still buying them with money. I just ignore them. They're just brainless haters. If their lives aren't going well, they take it out on others online. Be careful, or you might get a lawyer's letter. Though after all these years, I really don't care about the photo stuff anymore. But when the wines turn back, I still get a little scared. It's like it's a permanent mark in my life. Whatever I do, it seems like that mark is always there. That day, Liu Ryan surprisingly came home very early. When he turned on the lights in the living room, I only realized that the sky outside had already darkened. I was sitting on the sofa in the living room. Outside the floor-to-ceiling windows, there was a night without a single light in sight. I felt like I had returned to a night when I was 20 years old. It was almost as if by fate, Liu Ryan unexpectedly said the same thing as my sister. Do you want to go out and have some fun? In that moment, I suddenly felt like destiny could really loop back on itself. He must have seen the trending topic. I looked at Liu Ryan and asked, "Don't you have something you want to ask me?" Liu Ryan, standing in front of me, froze for a moment, then in a straightforward tone, "I know the whole story. I've known for a long time." Liu Ryan stared at me for a long time before shifting his gaze away. This was the first time I saw Liu Ryan's ears turn so red. He took several deep breaths before slowly calming himself down. Then he spoke. "He Kong, do you know why I agreed to this marriage? It's because I asked your sister to take me to your dad." From Liu Ryan's perspective, Liu Ryan may have never expected that. At the age of 25, he would meet the person who would be his soulmate for the rest of his life. He first met He Kong at a press conference. The boy, although he only played a supporting role ... But when it was his turn to speak, his eyes were sparkling. Sitting next to Liu Ryan, He Lin started pulling out his phone and taking pictures frantically. The noise was so loud that Liu Ryan couldn't help but shift his gaze away from the boy, turning his attention to him. He Lin looked confused by this. "Why, that's my little brother." He Lin looked at the poster of He Kong with a very proud expression. He had helped him enroll in a prestigious school when he was little. During holidays, he would come back, and my parents would take him to travel all around the world. "You probably haven't seen him. That's normal." Liu Ryan fell silent. He lowered his gaze, quietly nodding. Actually, Liu Ryan wanted to say he had seen him on the family photo hanging in the He family's living room. In the photo frame by He Lin's bedside, Liu Ryan saw He Kong for the second time at He Lin's birthday party. He saw the boy from a distance. The boy came running over, affectionately greeting his sister, saying happy birthday. But unfortunately, he didn't greet the boy. He was quickly surrounded by other business partners at the party. When Liu Ryan was 27, he went abroad with He Lin. They were both sent to expand their respective overseas markets. He thought that when he met He Kong again, it would be like the characters meeting at the peak of a novel. During one of their meetings, giving a self-introduction like the opening of a story. "Hello, Liu Ryan," and then beginning a plot that seemed like a romance novel. But unexpectedly, He Kong had an accident. He always remembered that message. He Lin, in a hurry, he booked the last flight ticket. On the messaging app, he left a message saying, "My brother is in trouble." Just 5 short words made Liu Ryan book a ticket as well. On the plane, he met He Lin and was taken aback. "What are you doing? Are you really that unable to let go of me?" Liu Ryan paused and replied, "Your family is in the pharmaceutical business. How long are you going to investigate this kind of thing? How long do you want her to stay trending on Hot Search?" The issue was resolved 3 days later. That night, He Lin went home, and Liu Ryan stayed downstairs the entire night. From his perspective, he could just barely see He Kong sitting on the balcony, lost in thought. The boy had changed a lot. There was no longer the same anger in his eyes that Liu Ryan had seen the first time. He just sat there silently in the wind, sitting in the reflection of the moon, tired, blinking his eyes. Liu Ryan stood downstairs for a long time. He had the feeling that the boy might fall down at any moment. What woke Liu Ryan up was the phone in his hand vibrating twice. Lin sent him a message asking for help. Save my brother. How can I comfort the boy if he doesn't listen to me? Liu Ryan looked at the message. He felt a strange headache. Should know, right? He had lived this long. His time spent alone with men had been few and far between. How did it end up feeling like he was a seasoned veteran in the field of romance? However, he thought, being sincere can't go wrong, right? So Liu Ryan sincerely typed in the chat box, tell him that it was just a photo. It won't affect your brilliant future life for decades. Actually, that was what he wanted to say to the boy. In life, there is nothing that can't be overcome. Moreover, from the beginning to the end, he was the victim. That night, Liu Ryan, who slept in the car, was happy. He was happy because the boy seemed to be somewhat moved by his words. However, he was also a bit sad. It seemed like the boy's relationship with his sister was getting better and better. Sad because the boy still didn't seem to really know him. Returning to work, Liu Ryan felt very tired. He always felt like his life had already been planned out on a track. As long as he followed the steps, everything would be fine. Sometimes he would feel melancholy, thinking that living day after day like this, isn't it a bit too boring? Sometimes he would complain to his friends about it. But his friends always looked at him and said, Liu, I wish I had your troubles. After hearing that, he just smiled. He knew that by saying this, he would make the other person feel like he was being somewhat elitist. However, the boring and monotonous life was indeed his reality. On that night, he opened a live stream while researching a competitor's platform and saw the boy again. It was the third time he saw Kong. The boy looked much better than before. His condition seemed to have improved a lot. Liu Ryan kept watching. Unconsciously, a smile appeared on his face. From then on, every week at night, he would keep an eye on the boy's live stream. Kong would never know that during the years Liu Ryan was abroad, he had survived by watching the boy's daily live streams. He would stay up for his live broadcasts every day, with his phone in hand before bed and even while showering. Sometimes a few words from Kong in the comments would make his smile linger until bedtime. Thus, he thought, Kong seemed to be the kind of person who could become addictive. Or perhaps it was because he liked him that he became his stimulant. Liu Ryan returned to the country at the age of 27, and Kong was 21. He accidentally overheard he fully mentioned while visiting his house, talking to his mother. My son is already 24 and still doesn't have a partner. I don't expect much anymore. As long as he's happy, that's enough. Liu Fu was happily eating sunflower seeds. So what, our old girl is the same. I've even planned to set her up. He fully paused for a moment. He's not going to make a scene with you, Liu Fu casually said. What's there to make a scene about? If he has the ability, he can go find someone himself. So Liu Ryan, who was hiding behind the door, returned to his room. He sent a help message to his friend. Help me, Lin. Liu Ryan, my dad wants to arrange a marriage for me. Save me. So what? You're going to marry me? Liu Ryan replied. Can I borrow your brother and call him my husband? There was silence on the other end. Well, it wasn't exactly silence. He saw the status of Lin's name in his contacts, switching back and forth between typing ... single quotes and not typing. Eventually, the message came through. Are you out of your mind? Liu Ryan couldn't help but ask Lin. Eventually, he really did ask Lin for help. Seeing the situation, Lin didn't know what to say anymore. So the next part of the story began. He went to his mother to arrange the connection. In truth, he only wanted to have some contact with Kong. He never thought about getting engaged to him so soon. He was afraid too. Would I be able to accept him? Would I like him? But when I saw the contract, I couldn't refuse and said okay. Liu Ruyan, my wife, was stunned. He knew I didn't mean it that way. Perhaps he was just someone I used to deal with my family. Liu Ruyan's lips still couldn't hide the smile, even long after I left. It seemed there were still too faint marks on his face. He wanted to take it slow. There would always be opportunities. He was already luckier than others. So, Kang's name became the only path he could take to escape, a route beyond the control of everyone, including himself. I watched Liu Ruyan fall into a long silence. With some disbelief, I asked, "So, you like me?" "I do like you." Liu Ruyan gave a small laugh, but it was no longer the kind of admiration a fan would have. "I want to be your family." The word family felt too heavy for me. And just now, I seemed to have already made up my mind. There were some things I was going to do next. It was hard for me to answer Liu Ruyan at this moment. Liu Ruyan could see my hesitation. He followed my emotions and asked me, "Is there something you'd like to sit and talk about?" I didn't deny it and nodded, humming. "I just want to sit quietly." As I sat on the sofa earlier, I kept thinking, will I ever be able to shake off this label? But I haven't done anything wrong. How can I ever tear away this brand? I can only achieve even greater success. Then every time people think of me, they will only remember the label of Best Actress. It may even cause some men to have different opinions about me. When they see me, they will think of maliciously taken photos and videos. The ones who should feel ashamed are never me. The camera has no emotions. It is always the one holding the camera who brings emotions and bias into it. We should criticize those ill-intentioned cameramen, not me. I was born bare. The filth lies with you. At 19, when I first entered the industry, I was constantly asking myself, what is the meaning of being an actress? Back then, my thoughts were ambiguous. But there was one idea that closely resembles what I think now. Back then, I thought, the meaning of my acting should be to bring positive guidance to everyone through my roles. And now, at 24, the role I need to play is Kang. I am the best example of this. My agent quickly found a script that was a perfect fit for me. The male lead's experiences were very similar to mine. In fact, they were almost identical. In the van, my agent asked me, "The closed set will last 3 months, and you won't be able to contact the outside world. Do you think immersing yourself in the role might make you emotionally collapse?" I knew he was worried that the striking similarities between the role and my past might add more pressure on me. But I smiled at him, shaking my head, "Of course not. I'm 20 for now, not 19 anymore. I have the ability to handle this." Then in the rearview mirror, I saw a small black dot in the distance, resembling Liu Ruyan. He was standing there, watching my car. For some reason, as I stared at that tiny black dot, my heart inexplicably clenched. It even hurt a little, and the ache spread down my spine. It was a long while before that black dot completely disappeared from my view. Only then did I receive a message from Liu Ruyan. "Let me know if you need anything. Good luck, Kang." After just returning to the set, I couldn't immediately adapt as well as I did before. But fortunately, I adjusted pretty quickly. I didn't slow down the filming progress of the crew. In these past few months, I handed over all my social media accounts to my agent to manage. The first time I saw Liu Ruyan again was 3 months later. He seemed to have aged a bit, with dark circles under his eyes as though they had 10 layers of shadow. When I returned home, he was standing on the floor above, lazily looking down. He was watching the workers on the first floor. I suddenly felt a bit uneasy, so I called up to greet him. "Good evening," Liu Ruyan responded. "It's already past midnight. Baby, I just got home. There's so much to sort out." But he still stood there, watching me. I grew impatient and hurried upstairs to ask, "What do you want?" Liu Ruyan's brows furrowed even more tightly. After I pressed him a few times, he hesitantly asked, "Are you really close with the female lead?" I was somewhat confused. He pushed his phone toward me. It was a screenshot of a post from my online account. The picture was of me and the female lead together. The caption read, Thank you for being there. This clearly came from my agent, promoting the movie. I was about to explain, but Liu Ruyan's next words interrupted me. I've saved this picture for 2 months, 9 days, and 13 hours. But I didn't dare to send a green bubble message. I was afraid I might disturb your work. As he said this, there was a hint of nervousness in his voice. His arm gripped the staircase railing tightly, and I could see the veins bulging from the force. But what didn't match the tension was that in the next moment, his voice sounded somewhat aggrieved. Kekong, why haven't you sent me even a single message? Actually, the trending topic is true. What's true? Liu Ruyan, I really am jealous. Give me a hug. I miss you so much. As he spoke, Liu Ruyan leaned against me, rubbing against me like a little cat craving attention. I was a bit stunned by this barrage of emotions. Suddenly, I thought, Liu Ruyan must have a bit of a love-struck mindset. But maybe there was nothing wrong with being a little love-struck. When the movie premiered, I invited Liu Ruyan and my sister. When I invited Liu Ruyan, he was a little surprised. But when he reached the cinema entrance and saw my sister already waiting in the lobby, his lips relaxed, and he straightened them into a line. My sister, seeing his expression, pouted a little helplessly. She commented, I don't know what you're secretly plotting. We're all watching together anyway. You think my brother loves you more? Impossible. She turned to me, look at me. Liu Ruyan suddenly changed his expression. If I had known you were coming, I wouldn't have let you leave. I said, you're busy. I understand. I'm not leaving. Liu Ruyan refused, as he pulled my hand and led me inside. We need to go. The show is about to start. My sister followed behind us, shaking her head uncontrollably. The movie had passed the 30th of April. I glanced at my sister sitting in the back row. As expected, she had already closed her eyes and was sound asleep. I then looked at Liu Ruyan sitting beside me, totally absorbed in the movie. I quietly leaned closer to him and whispered in his ear, this version hasn't been released in theaters yet. We're watching a special screening version. Liu Ruyan didn't speak. He just nodded, acknowledging that he understood. His ears were so red, but his body felt so cold. I wasn't giving up, and continued explaining. I added a little personal touch. The last line in the movie is exclusive to this version. When Liu Ruyan heard this, he finally turned to look at me. His eyes were bright, like stars scattered across the summer night sky. I smiled at him, because I thought, at that moment, looking at Liu Ruyan, I should be the same as him. That's what I want to say to you, I said with honesty. At the end of the movie, there was an interview with the director and the main cast. What do you want to say to the audience about playing this role? Rather than living in the past, it's more important to live in the future. Since silence and retaliation have proven useless, the only choice is to live even more brilliantly. So they will forever have to look up to you. Cue to what are your plans next? I glanced at the ceiling, forcing myself to stay calm. Not long ago, someone told me they wanted to be my family. I thought about it for a long time, but couldn't find an answer. But in these 3 months away, I've started to see things more clearly. I looked into the camera and said, if life's path has already been planned for me, then I hope that path is full of endless possibilities for the future. I want to meet my new family. So, Liu Ruyan, is this your new contract? Please, no more business marriages with me. At that moment, Liu Ruyan's 5-year-long unspoken love finally received a response. That night, beneath the balcony, there would no longer be any solitary voices. The moon would no longer shine only on one person. And I stretched out my hand, saying the words that felt like the opening line of a story. Except the plot had taken a slight turn. We didn't need to do those so-called introductions anymore. I smiled and said, hello. Liu Ruyan smiled back and said, hello. He King's life is a long movie. But thankfully, The protagonist is you.